There's a new technology that's just been discovered by an incredible young man. And when I say young, he's incredibly young. And I saw Ethan talking on social media. I'm like, I've got to have this guy on the podcast.
The most memorable, like early one, I had some that like shouldn't have even been started, but I was young and figuring it out. But I'd say the best and most memorable one was working at an exotic car shop. Grit. You have to have an obscene amount of grit. It hurts to fail a business really bad. You lose a lot of the stuff you have. Sometimes you have to move back in with your parents. I made SeptaSync out of my parents' guest room. My dream didn't give me the idea of SeptaSync, it gave me the recipe to make it. I woke up, I wrote everything down, and a couple weeks later, when I landed back at home, I started putting it all into the computer, and surprisingly, everything worked just like I said in my dream. You have to learn. You have to go out, fail, and learn. People will call you stupid and delusional. You got to get used to it.
I'm Dan Metcalfe. Thank you for tuning into the Born Superhuman podcast. I'm so proud of the guests and stories that we bring to you, and I know that you'll enjoy what we have ahead. Please like, subscribe, and follow. It really makes a huge difference in our ability to continue these conversations being brought to you. And if you feel the passion behind Born Superhuman, please share it with your friends and family and leave a comment. I read every one. Now, let's get on with the show. Hey, so welcome back to Born Superhuman. I'm very excited today. There's a new technology that's just been discovered by an incredible young man. And when I say young, he's incredibly young, but an absolute genius. We happened to be at the same convention together, and I saw Ethan talking on social media. I'm like, I've got to have this guy on the podcast. So, welcome, Ethan, to Born Superhuman. I'm so happy what you're doing because what you're really creating is something that's already inside of us. You're unleashing the miracle within. So, tell us a little bit first about you, who you are, and your history growing up. And it's a pretty short history because how old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, and you look so like vibrant. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Ethan. I'm 25. I'm autistic, which was a huge struggle as a kid. Definitely caused a lot of turmoil being young and interacting with people, but I found a huge love for behavioral psychology, and that has helped me a ton with being at these conventions, going on podcasts, all these kinds of things. I graduated high school a little bit early, and I jumped right into business and sales. So SeptaSync is my seventh business I've started. I failed five before this, and seems like we're on a really good track.
What was your very first business that you started?
The most memorable, like early one, I had some that like shouldn't have even been started, but I was young and figuring it out. But I'd say the best and most memorable one was working at an exotic car shop off of La Cienega in LA. They had tons of Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rolls Royces. So we opened up a new branch of the business working with all the bridal shops on Santee Street and in Huntington Park. So we were getting people Lamborghinis and limos for their weddings, or not limos. We were getting people Lamborghinis cheaper than they could get a limo for their wedding. That was very fun and very cool. First time I got to drive a cool car.
And how old were you at that time?
I think 22.
Okay, fantastic. So it sounds like you're a real go-getter. And I don't say that lightly. If you've had, five businesses prior and in 3 years, what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far before we get into SeptaSync?
Grit. You have to have an obscene amount of grit. It hurts to fail a business really bad. You lose a lot of the stuff you have. Sometimes you have to move back in with your parents. I made SeptaSync out of my parents' guest room. But you have to have grit. You have to be okay with failing and get back on your feet and keep trying. It's all a numbers game. The guy that started Yahoo failed 19 businesses before it worked.
Yeah, have you watched Shark Tank? Have you ever seen the show Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Mr. Wonderful says that he won't invest in any business that hasn't had at least three failures.
100%. And the knowledge you get, I mean, I got screwed over by a guy that worked at iHeartRadio. He was one of their old executives back in the day. All of the stuff I learned, even though he screwed me over, I didn't get paid a dime really. Everything I learned directly translated into SeptaSync more than any other business I've done. You have to learn. You have to go out, fail, and learn. People will call you stupid and delusional. You got to get used to it, but it will work. It's all experience.
Yeah, it's interesting because as I heard myself say the word fail, there is no failure.
Nope,
You
it's
know,
you only lose if you didn't learn.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I use. I put this on my head all the time. Or I put people on the head and they go, "What's that?" They go, "Lose." I said, "You can never lose if you learn." And again, some I never look at it as quitting. I always look at it as pivoting. You take the information with you unless you give up. So congratulations. So tell us about autism. Tell us about the dynamic effect it has, because there's a lot of negativity put towards autism. And yet, when we look at history and look at creation and creative people that are geniuses, so many of them are on the spectrum. So tell us a little bit more about autism for you.
Yeah, so there's testing you do. There's a line like this is you're autistic. I'm right here. I'm barely above it. There was just enough evidence to show like this guy's brain works quite differently, but I'm good at hiding it for the most part. I think it's a superpower and a curse. I cannot do basic algebra. My math or my mind does not understand math, no matter how hard I try. It's just seems chaotic to me. I can learn the rules, I forget them the next day, but there are areas I am so incredibly gifted at, and naturally, like driving is one of them. I have a racing simulator. It's the same kind that pros use on the off season, and just immediately I can pick that thing up and do good. I have like a couple top 500 in the world times on different tracks around the world, and it translates right into real driving. But that was something I didn't feel like I had to learn how to do. My body just like everything about my mind and my body just completely understood it. And the science behind frequencies is a similar thing. It's like I get obsessive about the knowledge, obsessive about learning, and feels like I know a lot of these things already. It's just bizarre, but I really see it as more of a superpower than a curse. It's only bad if I have to do math.
Yeah, maybe I was really good at basic math. Anything above that, my mind went elsewhere.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
just can't do it.
yeah, I think it brings us down to everyone's so unique, and you really need to embellish on what your genius is. It's interesting. I was watching today a interview with a young soccer player, and they said, "What's a good training session for you?" And he goes, "Well, I go and work on my weaknesses." And I was like, "That's good, but the only thing that makes you great is your greatnesses, if there's even a word, greatnesses." And when we try and catch up with people that are better at something, we're actually losing out on what we're unique at. So I really agree. Focus on what you're fantastic at, because there's other people fantastic at the things you're not, and they can support you. So let's go into SeptaSync. Tell us more about the frequencies. In fact, let's even go back even further. How did you even come up with this before we even go into what it is?
So the whole thing came to me in a dream, which was really cool. And this is kind of what I meant when I said sometimes it's like I know these things. My dream didn't give me the idea of SeptaSync. It gave me the recipe to make it. I woke up, I wrote everything down, and a couple weeks later, when I landed back at home, I started putting it all into the computer, and surprisingly, everything worked just like I said in my dream. I was winning an award in this dream. I was giving a speech. The audience, they were wearing lab coats and they had little goggles. Like it made, my dream made it clear this was something to do with science. And I kept repeating in the stream, I unlocked a new area of research in the brain using these frequencies, and I'd start spitting them out. 140 and 143 makes 3 hertz. 150 and 155 makes 5. And I did that, 14 three-digit frequencies. I don't know how I remembered it when I woke up. It like burnt into my brain. And that is literally what SeptaSync is. It came just exactly from my dream. Fundamentally, these multiple frequencies should interfere. It should cause such a commotion and a mess in the brain. And for some reason, it doesn't. That is the coolest part. We don't even know why SeptaSync works. And I've tried to make other septanaural beats. They don't work. It's just what I got in my dream so far, which is super cool.
I guess it really takes to the extreme, follow your dreams.
Yeah,
We hear that all the
100%.
time. When you woke up, did you have the realization at that moment that this is something I need to pursue, or was it something that clicked a little bit later?
Yeah, I mean, I woke up and my dreams are normally bizarre, like no meaning. I'm getting chased by hamburgers. That's one I always like to talk about on podcasts because that goes like my dreams are weird. There's almost no meaning you can find, but that one felt different. I don't know how to word it. I woke up and I knew I should write it down, but I didn't really think anything would come of it. It seemed important enough to write down. And when I tried to make it in my, I'm in my parents' guest room right now still. I had my dad come listen and it wasn't really working like I wanted it to. Layering the sounds was the hardest part. Like this one needs to be 30 decibels. This one needs to be 10 decibels under the last one. So you can only hear four of the frequencies with your ears. The rest your ears can't pick up on. Figuring all that out was really hard. I had my dad come in to try to listen to it and I start messing with stuff. I made a mistake. I hit undo when I didn't mean to and then moved some other things around. That was what made it work. All of a sudden he goes, "It sounds good." And I put the headphones on and I could immediately feel it. I was like, "Oh, I made something cool." So I started researching, does this exist? Are there patents on this? And somehow nobody's ever done that before. I was shocked. I could not believe it. I paid a lawyer to do all kinds of research. Blew my mind.
So go into explaining, because so many people won't understand specifically what frequencies even are. I mean, I only heard about it probably 3 years ago, um, and I still don't understand it to the level that you do. Go ahead and break down the frequencies and what do they really do for us?
So what you got to understand is it's like an optical illusion, but for your ears. It's called a binaural beat, and it takes advantage of a quirk in our audio processing center. So if I played 9 hertz in your left ear and 11 hertz in your right ear, your brain would actually create the sound of 2 hertz, the difference of the two frequencies. You can do that with anything. You could do 300 and 330. Your brain will hear 30, even though you have two other sounds coming in. Your brain gets lazy, it bridges the gap of the two sounds and causes your brain waves to actually change. Everything is done in this world with sound and vibration, even at the molecular level. Why have we not tried that on humans? I mean, you boil water, molecules start moving really fast, they vibrate faster, they create heat, your water boils. Um, I just cannot understand why we have not tried that on humans before. So 9 hertz in one ear, 11 in the other makes 2 hertz. 2 hertz is how your brain vibrates when you're naturally asleep. And that technology has been around a long time. No one's been able to stack frequencies. So what I think SeptaSync does is six of the binaural beats, so two frequencies makes one, so six of the sets of two frequencies attack the sleep centers of the brain. And one of them plays only for 30 seconds every 5 minutes, and it stimulates only your brain, not your body. So as your body falls asleep, I play a background frequency that keeps your mind awake, and you will start dreaming while you're awake. It's about a 50-50 if it's visual for people, but some people say they just get really relaxed. Others say it's like watching a movie on their eyelids.
Yeah, it was interesting because I tried it before we jumped on, the Zoom, and my girlfriend tried it, and her comment was her body was completely relaxed. It was almost like her body was asleep, and yet her mind felt very engaged without getting tired. And when I did it, it was interesting that my imagination felt like I could see things rather than think them, if that makes sense. Instead of thinking it, suddenly it became visually engaged. How does that work?
That's a great question. And I don't know how SeptaSync works yet. We're just about to start ordering our first sets of medical equipment. We have to like talk directly to doctors, get approval. There's all kinds of stuff with the FDA we have to go through. But as we learn more about it, I'll have more answers. What I think is happening is it causes your brain to enter REM sleep rather quickly. Our EEG data shows, parallels to REM sleep versus when you listen to SeptaSync. When you enter REM sleep, your body releases like not a toxin, but a chemical that just paralyzes every muscle in your body pretty lightly. You can still move if you need to, but it's going to take an extra amount of effort. You'll need to be more awake. I think it's putting you into REM sleep, but not letting your mind fall asleep enough. So different parts of the brain start talking to each other that wouldn't when you're awake. Your thoughts get more intense, your visuals get more intense. You get to feel the bodily sensations of your imagination, even though you're not there. That's kind of my theory, but I really have no idea.
It's really interesting because when I launched my first company, I had proof of users and the results, but I hadn't gone through the testing. But people didn't really mind because they were getting the results. And then over time, we had the scientific backup proof of brain to body engagement. You have great reviews. And yet this is your concept. And I've always said simple is best. And even though it's not simple, what you've actually created is very simple for the brain to assimilate. Tell me some of the stories of the results that you've got, because I know it's blowing up. People are loving it.
Yeah, so of course, to start the dreaming while you're awake, that was all I really thought it did when I first launched it, and people had really cool results. They were all experiencing something very structured. It gets real tribal for people. They feel like ancient is a word you see in a lot of reviews. I felt like an ancient energy, or like kind of a primal mind state. They see tribal looking things. It all ends up back at like the tribal world, which is interesting. But it got weird when I had a deaf lady reach out and say, "Hey, I listened to SeptaSync and it didn't really work. I listened with cochlear implants." She said, "But I took out the power banks of my implants and I had the same experience as everybody else. Can you explain this to me?" And that makes no sense for something that relies only on audio processing to, our human knowledge right now. That should not work at all, which means it's doing something beyond the ears. It's like brainwave entrainment, the changing of brainwaves via frequency, but totally bypassing the ears. So I'm wondering if it's being done through magnets in the headphones, how this could be working. Super confusing, super, super cool stuff. So when we were at that conference together, there's a 74-year-old man. He was one of the vendors as well, and I saw he's wearing hearing aids. So I went up to him. I told him I had a deaf lady take out her power banks. It worked for her. I'll give you everything I've made for free if you just give this a try. It'll take 10 minutes. He gives it a shot, takes out his hearing aids, of course, falls asleep immediately, gets up and goes, "That was good. That was good." And we talk for a few minutes, and he's like touching his ear and he's like, "I don't have my hearing aid in, and I can hear you really well right now." I was like, "Whoa, that's trippy." I'm thinking maybe it opened up his ear canal briefly, like it stimulated a muscle. He does a little video testimonial and then emailed me about a week ago and said he still has not put his hearing aid back in. Like it did something to his hearing and it's massively improved. So I reached out to the internet. I said, "I'll give you guys free copies of SeptaSync if you take a hearing test before and after. Give me some ideas." A lot of people were hard of hearing and had already listened and started reaching out saying it's actually helping me. I noticed this a week ago. I thought it was a placebo. One lady had a ton of surgeries on her ears because they wouldn't drain properly, and she said she woke up crying not because she was in pain, but because she woke up not in pain. She woke up in the middle of the night to drink water and realized like my ear's not in excruciating pain, and she said she just started bawling. And all these people that are claiming it's helped it is lasting, which is, I mean, I seriously have no idea what I created, but it's got so much potential to help people and it's something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, again, because of my own brain injuries and brain research, I really believe the power is within the brain to heal, but we are what we think until we stimulate the brain to act. So I'm so excited to hear when you get your clinicals back or more proof in testing what's really happening, because I'm a huge believer that what you're doing is you're triggering the brain to reverse the decline, whether it's through inflammation, disease, and we blame it on aging, but aging really is coming from a toxin that's creating a blockage somewhere in there to function. So congrats again. So we got the hearing. What other effects? Because if someone's hearing is great, they're going to say, okay, well, my hearing, I don't really need to, protect it or improve it. What else can it do?
So here's another cool one is there's a medical condition called aphantasia. People don't have a visual imagination and it's like a medical inability to visualize. So I could know what you look like, but if I had aphantasia, I'd never see your face when I think about you. I would just know you when I see you. These people can't see what their mom looks like in their imagination. I've had so many people with aphantasia claiming that they're getting mental sight for the first time. An overwhelming amount of people compared to the guys who are hard of hearing or girls. I mean, hundreds of them. It's crazy, and it's no cure or anything. It does not work on everybody, but even being able to 50-50 give people mental sight for the first time is huge. They're leaving me voice messages on Instagram like crying. It reminds me of those videos where a colorblind person puts on the glasses and they can see color and they just break out into tears. It seems to be a very similar like emotional response. So it's very cool.
So when the most is it okay to use during the day? Are you meant to use it only before you go to bed at night? Can you use it first thing in the morning? What's recommended from the experience you've had so far?
It is going to depend person to person. If you're the kind of person that doesn't really feel a lot, like my dad, nothing works on this dude. He could take pain meds when he's hurt. He could drink half a bottle and he's fine. I don't know how he does it. He's just a human tank. And I think it comes from up here, stubborn dude, but in a good way. Um, he tried it at nighttime. It didn't really work for him. And I said, drink a cup of coffee in the morning and give it another shot. And he did. And because he was so awake, he noticed his body just knock out. He had coffee in him. He was feeling good and he was asleep in like 5 minutes. I think it varies. If you try it at nighttime and you don't think it's a very much, try it like after 2 cups of coffee or, right when you finish a workout and see how quick your body turns off. It is so much more noticeable during the day.
Yeah, it's such an interesting point because I think, again, the power of the brain is so incredible. Like you said, your dad being this tank that nothing, is going to take me down, nothing's going to stop me. We can actually form certain powers within the brain to deflect or neglect what maybe it really needs as far as relaxation or, stress, de-stressing. So that's amazing that people sometimes have to go outside of the comfort zone of normal to then experience it. If you're really fit and you start, say, taking hydrogen water, you're not going to see as much of effect as someone that has some form of disease and needs more anti-inflammatory or hydration benefits. With yourself, do you use it every day? And what do you feel as an effect? Because obviously this is something you've created.
I have health issues. If I listen to this, I'm gonna be sleepy for 3 days. I don't know what it is. I have a really hard time with energy. Doctors are working on figuring it out right now. It's relatively new. But if I listen to SeptaSync, man, I'll sleep 15 hours that night and then wake up super tired. It's not for me, which is funny that I made it. But I do use it occasionally, like on an airplanes, places I get really uncomfortable. Like airports have way too many people for me, so I feel unsafe. I need to like sit in a corner, nothing behind me. If I listen to SeptaSync like really quiet and just walk around, I feel totally comfortable, which is cool. And on the note you were just talking about, this is something that pisses me off about science. The whole power of the brain. A lot of people will kind of say, "Oh, that's a little bit crazy." Things like that. It's not. That's why placebo effects work. Like if you believe something, your brain is so powerful, and it just bums me out that science doesn't test that more. I mean, we use placebo in testing, but nothing we've actually heavily looked into. There's cases of people's cancer going away when they're taking sugar pills thinking they got a cancer cure, and they're patients in a double-blind clinical trial. It just blows my mind. We have people thinking away their cancer, and nobody's even trying to test on that. You're onto something, Dan.
Yeah, and you are too, Ethan. I think that because it became about money, and this is just my own personal belief, and I'll stand by it. As soon as it became about money, FDA, scientific proof, everything had to go through a system to then be real. But if you look back in the ages of these guru doctors that only went off of the land, off of experience, off of epigenetic pass downs, and now we're seeing things like snake venom. And people go, oh, that's kind of crazy. But the most lethal snake venom dropped onto your skin, again, we're specialists, will trigger your immune system and fight off. You can come back from Parkinson's, MS. I've been looking at this science and studying it. And these super intelligent doctors in the Western world are now going down into places like Mexico and learning from these village doctors and seeing incredible cures. So I'm 100% on the same page. We are what we think. If we give permission for the brain to go to work, it's incredible what it can do.
100%. And that's the reason that all these doctors and researchers are fleeing the US to go figure out medical issues. We've had like 5 cures for cancer get shelved that I know of. I've done videos on it like a couple years ago or a year ago, but it's just crazy. We have fixes for so many things that get bought and shelved. Like unless I think I'm in danger, I will never sell SeptaSync. I will not even take investors because I don't want people to steer this towards profits. I'm about helping people, and money's a byproduct of helping people. That's like the number one thing you'll learn in sales. Find an issue, fix it, and you'll make a ton of money. But you don't have to charge up the wazoo to make a ton of money. I mean, SeptaSync right now is $10, and we're doing great. We have to up the price to afford clinical testing, but it's 45 bucks for everything I've made and will make in the future. I'm trying to keep it fair and still about the mission of helping, or $5 a month. Cheaper than a cup of coffee for 30 days. I think it's kind of a good middle ground, but I need like $3 million to get proper clinical testing, and they'll take a long time selling it at 10 bucks a tape.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that as the word spreads, because like I say, I wanted to try it before you and I engaged any further in conversation outside of the initial approach of being on the podcast. And I think it's great. I think once you can identify exactly who it's for, like you said, it's not for you. And yet I'm going to use it. And I don't use things that are not beneficial to me. I know my girlfriend's going to use it. She's had, terrible insomnia for quite a long time. So she's taking CBD without the oil to help go to sleep and some other items just to help her relax. But we're definitely going to use this without a doubt. I think it's also really interesting going back to the point of stimulating the brain to allow itself to become. I'll tell you a quick story. I've never told this story before, and this is your podcast, but I'm telling the story because it enhances what you're saying. My brother's son has cystic fibrosis. And so from birth or very quickly after birth, when they discovered it, he has his vibration jackets, he has his certain meds that he has to take every day. So my brother went across to Europe. We're from England, and he found some incredible science doctors on the mainland of Europe and up in Scotland. Came back, and all he was using was natural herbs. All these natural herbs that they've shown helps reset the system and stops the inflammation and the buildup in the lungs. So he was really excited, went down to the hospital with his son. They went in, did testing on him. My brother hadn't said a thing. They came back, oh my gosh, Jude is incredible. We've never seen this turnaround. He's like a new kid. We don't find anything. And so my brother said, well, this is what happened, and told the story and what they're taking. Their reaction blew him away. They said, either you put him back on the drugs or we're going to take him away because you're not caring for his health. My brother said, what do you mean? You just told me this is the best you've seen. They said, you're a danger to your son's health. If you don't put him back on the drugs, then we're taking him away. So my brother had to. And that goes 100% in what you're saying, which is why aren't we investigating and researching the natural things that don't cost money? And again, even at $45, it's a great reaction to stimulate the brain. It's priceless. It really is priceless. Where do you see this going next?
It depends on what it does. That's the first part. But after medical testing, I see a couple really applicable uses for this. First off, I think if it does what I think it does, which, sleeping while you're awake, I think it's safe to say it does that at this point. That could have a huge benefit on people who need therapy for trauma. Your body's asleep, your mind is racing and awake. You can think through a lot of problems without such an emotional stress response. I mean, it's one thing to feel energy in your body, like the vibration a lot of people say they feel with SeptaSync, but your heart won't start racing or anything. You'll wake yourself back up before that happens. If you can stay in that sleep while awake state, you should be able to work through your problems much more efficiently without the need for, a panic attack. Um, I think that could be huge. And then, of course, the deaf and the people with aphantasia, but that deaf guy, he said that his hand tremors have reduced 50%. That's a huge thing that I've kind of put on the sidelines because I'm heavily testing the hearing, but it could be reprogramming things in the brain for all I know. And that could be a huge avenue as well. I want to test it on more people with Parkinson's as soon as I have the time. But I
Yeah,
mean, I see what you're saying. The herbs, things just kind of resetting the system. I think it's totally achievable.
yeah, I'm going to introduce you for sure to Dr. Eckel, who has an incredible Energy for Life program with so many Parkinson's patients. And I'm happy to open that door. I wanted to get through the podcast and so I can present it a little bit better listening to you and what it is to Dr. Eckel, but connect it. And his is pretty much all Parkinson's patients, but great, great program. You were saying that What was the symptom that you said that it helps?
He
Aphantasia?
had hand tremors.
Oh, there was one before that, aphantasia.
Aphantasia, yes.
Tell me about that.
So mental inability to visualize anything. I mean, imagine your imagination is black. It's like being in a dark room. It's very auditory. You can think your thoughts out, but you're not going to see them. You won't get the daydreams. Those people just don't do that. There's layers of aphantasia. Like if you Google it, it'll show a chart with an apple. It says like the normal person can see the apple and then it slowly blurs. Like I think stage three of aphantasia is you can get an object but no color. And anything beyond that, you basically can't see anything in your mind. Most of these people are saying they're seeing colors, like blurbs of colors, things. Like one guy said he only for 3 seconds he could see a sunset, he could hear the birds and like feel the sound of the water. Like he said he could feel the sound, which I don't really know what he meant, but pretty cool. And I think even for the people who have it really bad, like it's taking them back up to a more normal visualization, at least for seconds at a time, which is super impactful to these people that have never gotten something like that. I got a message recently. A lady had her 90-year-old mom try it who has aphantasia, and she like broke down into tears for a few hours because 90 years of her life, she'd never seen something in her mind, and all of a sudden she can see the sunset. She could see her honeymoon in I don't remember where it was, in Mexico or something. She could see the scenes of it, and it was just so impactful to these people. It's really cool to be the one that facilitated that.
So I was just looking down at my phone. I want to read April 2nd, 2025, Robert Dudd. Absolutely nuts. I've only ever tried gateway tapes, but for some reason could never get into them. Something fell off. These feel very nice and resonate more. I tried the first one today. First time I have ever seen anything in my mind's eye in meditation. Even if it was only for a few seconds, it was an old world courtyard with beautiful green plants everywhere. I felt like I was in a real alternate reality I could see. I am so excited to see where this will take all of us collectively. Thank you, Ethan, for this wonderful gift to the world.
Oh, that's a good review.
How does that make you feel?
Great. I mean, I haven't gotten a review under 5 stars, but just reading them and hearing them every day, sometimes I wake up, I feel like I've been dreaming since I made SeptaSync. None of this feels real. I'll wake up with a little bit of doubt in my head. I'm like, man, this is too crazy to be true. And then I'll read the reviews and it's like kicks me right back into work gear. It's motivating. I have 3 days off and now you got me thinking about what I can do to be productive after this.
No, no, no. That wasn't the purpose of this. You got to take that time down as well. It's like I'm just reading, and again I'm going to show these on the screen. It's a little dark maybe to be able to see the things in here, but people saying, OMG, Ethan, you are my everything. Thank you so much. I did tape 1 and 2 last night. Let me tell you, I've always had ear issues, 2 surgeries, and nothing. Nothing. You literally opened my ear. I can hear. I woke up crying. Thank you. Then I was seeing men in black and beings coming on and out of this portal. I saw this. I am spiritually in tune. So that may be why I can't do this 3 to 4 times, or 3 and 4 tonight. But I'm seeing things. I was calm and able to watch, and I do have a history of seizures, but nothing I don't think will hurt us. And this was a hell of a ride. I want to meet you and give you a kiss. LOL. Okay, I'm going to stop reading that one now. But I wish I could put this on the screen, but I can scroll up and down these reviews, and they're incredible. Even wives writing about Ethan. I had my husband listen to the first SeptaSync tape and wanted to give you his review. He's a 55-year-old blind man. He has a genetic eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. This is his right saying. As I was listening to the first SeptaSync tape, I could see myself floating in space above the earth. I could see the curvature of the earth. I could make out in detail the blackness of space and the blue waters. I could also see the stars. The only thing I can compare it to is Disney's Soarin' ride. I had a huge grin on my face as I have not been able to see in such detail in decades. This is truly a remarkable product.
Oh man, you're pumping me up right now.
I'm thinking because it's very hard to come on a podcast about a product that you haven't or you don't fully understand. This was a genius gift. My creation that I had, the balance training system, came to me in a dream as well. I woke up, made it, and now there's 70,000 people across the country, that have been using it. And without any testing, and the results have been phenomenal because I thought outside the box. Yours came to you in a dream. And as I was saying, it's hard to come on a podcast and say to people, try it when there isn't, because people want scientific proof, not realizing that the science is there or proven because it's going to make them money. And I'm talking about the systems that prove, right? Having to go into the FDA, going down to experts that want to be paid to endorse your products. Having these reviews is the greatest proof. And I would urge people, try it. You've got so little to lose, so little and everything to gain. Is this going to be something you're going to focus on? Because I know when you have this genius brain, more things keep coming. You're already saying, I'm going on, 3 days off now, I'm going to work. No, you're not. I'll come down there and I'll tie you down. No, I'm joking. But do you see this leading to something else, or are you just open and whatever comes to you comes to you? Or is this going to be your main focus for years?
I mean, I think it'll be my main focus. It's all about weighing the scales. If I come up with like if this reveals something even better, I don't see why I wouldn't chase something better that could make more impact. But right now, this is making such an impact. I mean, it's the most valuable use of my time. And I have to think back to what helps people the most. I feel like I got a duty to, do good for other people. And unless SeptaSync brings something huge to the table, this will be it.
So let's break down, explain how SeptaSync works, because people are listening to it right now and they're still like, what is it? Go ahead and explain it to people that have never seen it. And I'm talking about the actual process of getting it and how do you use it?
Yeah, so we just partnered with an app called High Frequency Highway that'll make it a little bit easier for people to access the tapes, and we should be up on their app in about a month. But you right now you just go to the website, you download the files, you buy them for $10, and all you have to do is put on headphones and listen. That's the beauty of it. There's no device you need or something that costs $1,000 that's gonna blast light in your eyes or ears, or there's nothing complicated at all. The science is fully in the sound. As long as you have a pair of headphones that can split audio to the left and the right ear, you have everything you need.
So you don't need a special set of headphones. Anything will work as long as you can hear through it.
As long
Oh,
as you can hear through it.
so the headphones don't have to be a certain size, as long as it's got stereo left and right. And even if you're deaf, you still have the ability for the vibrations, the frequencies to go in, even if you're not physically hearing them. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's based off of other people's experiences, but I have a large handful of them saying the same thing. So most of the deaf people are saying they'll throw on the headphones, they'll hit play, and they'll have to like click their phone and make sure that the track is moving because they can't hear it. When they see it's moving, they just lay back and then their body knocks out. They start dreaming. It's the same kind of thing everybody else experiences. And again, that makes absolutely no sense. I mean, septasync in general doesn't even make sense. Think of two waves in the ocean crashing right into each other. They'd cancel each other out or interfere, and that's the existing science with frequencies. You can't do more than two because it makes a jumbled mess. There's so many mysteries behind how it works, why it works. I don't think it goes the traditional audio processing route, or if it does, your brain is still hearing it, which also doesn't make sense. There's so much mystery here. I really have no idea how any of this works at all.
Which makes it even more engaging because everyone is able to benefit from trying it without being told what's going to happen. In other words, you take Advil, you're going to feel less, you're going to, maybe reduce the inflammation depending on the amount of ibuprofen. And so we have these expectations. And yet again, I'll go back to the reviews. Incredible. All 5 star. How many programs are there within? Is there like an intro and then there's a level that you have to go through, or could you go straight to? And how many are there? Can you start with five, or do you have to start with one and work up? How does that work?
So there's 8 tapes of the first set of Septa I made, and you should listen to them in order unless you're really good at meditating, you know how to turn off your mind really quick. Each tape will teach you something new, and then as you go through the tapes, the instruction tapers off until the last tape is just you and the frequency. There's no guidance at all. And really, all it is a ton of really elaborate ways to calm down mental chatter. I borrowed them from meditations all over the world, like the Buddhist monks, how they do the Om. A couple like energy breathing exercises, things that get you visually thinking about seeing things and things that kind of turn off your intrusive thoughts. But you really don't need that. If you're the kind of person that can just calm yourself down really quick and get into it, I'd say just go straight to tape 8. The voice will pull you out of it more than it will help you unless you're learning. I also have a sleepless rest tape, which is the 11-minute demo tape. We found that at the conference, people said it worked like a 2-hour nap,
Mm.
but they came out with no mental fog because their brain never fell asleep. So they're like, my body's a little tired, but like if I was at work, I feel rested. I could work an extra 3 hours. We see a huge benefit of that in corporate America or like Japan, somewhere really work centered. And then I just released a 2-hour tape. I don't know what I'm going to name it yet, but it's just to allow people to really get in there. There's no guidance at all. It's you and the frequencies for 2 hours. I've only tested it on one person, and their experience was nuts. They left me like a 3-page review. He had to take breaks because he said like the bodily sensations were so intense it was waking him up. He's like, I was seeing things. It was like he was actually like lucid dreaming, and like he said he started flying at one point. He got so excited, his heart started racing. It woke him up. He like snapped himself out of it. And that's all we have so far. But we are only a month and 5 days old.
Incredible. What do you think will be, and just off of the short term or time that you've been doing this, what do you think will be a user's experience that would be the most common?
I think getting super relaxed and falling asleep. It's really 50-50. About half the people have a very visual experience. The other half get super relaxed and kind of introspective, meaning they're doing a lot of self-reflection positively. Um, like I said, I think it's really good for kind of working through some little problems you might have, thinking through things in a more neutral body state. But I can guarantee you, if you listen to this, it will turn off your body, at least for 20, 30 minutes of the tape. You will experience relaxation beyond normal. I mean, I had the 11-minute demo tape at Biohackers Conference. People were falling asleep in just a few minutes in a room full of 300 people. Seeing that happen over and over, we tested on 98 people. Only one guy said it didn't do anything. I'm very confident it will knock you out. Just listening to these sounds will knock you out. It's just so cool.
What do you think about using it to take a midday nap? If the mind is staying alive or the brain is staying alive, and obviously that's the mind with creating all these experiences, is it good to use for a nap in the midday when you want to recover for an afternoon's work, or would you find that you would be more tired after?
I think it would be really good. So the fine balance point is entering REM sleep or not. If you get pulled out of REM sleep, no matter what, you're going to come out exhausted, mentally and physically. It's really draining on the body. And you have a crazy night of dreaming, you're not going to feel like you slept very well. That 11-minute demo tape I use seems to be the perfect marker of it. Pulls people out right before they enter the REM state on average. And I mean, this could be huge in corporate America. You could take a 10-minute nap. Your body gets all of the rest it normally would. You never lose your mind, so you don't come out groggy. You don't need 30 minutes to get back into it. You'll wake up like ready to go. I've tested it myself. SeptaSync makes me tired, but I have to make sacrifices to learn and then market this. I was super tired. I did the 11-minute session. I woke up. It was hard to type, man. My fingers, like, it took extra effort, but my mind was there. It was like I just made myself do it. It wasn't like a mental chore as well as a physical. I just had to wake up my body really quick. I think it could be huge. I think a lot of people might hate me because people will expect more out of them if companies license this and it works. Balance the scales.
Yeah, it's fascinating because we know that people are sleeping less, they're more tired, they're overworked. I think back to a very, very good friend of mine, was a mentor for Michael Jackson.
Oh, very cool.
And incredible. So I got to perform twice. He came and saw the shows that I was on stage in twice. Michael Jackson, absolute genius. And for me, the greatest performer, right at the top with a couple of other people. I loved Freddie Mercury and stuff that I think would, obviously Elvis Presley, some of the greatest of greats. But his problem was he couldn't sleep. And it makes me wonder if he could have had something like SeptaSync or, actually SeptaSync and used it. And where his problems came from was before you were born, there was an accident on a commercial he was shooting where his hair caught on fire. And he ended up having third-degree burns on his head. And he really had a hard time from that point on laying down and going to sleep because of the pain on his head. And that led to him, it's a story that I know the details of very well. But because of Elizabeth Taylor, he found out that you could actually go to sleep for an operation for 8 hours. And that's how he started injecting himself to get some sleep. But he wasn't really sleeping. Your body's put into a fake state. And look at the cognitive, mental health or brain health decline that comes from lack of sleep. And if you can bring that, it's probably one of the biggest pandemics we have in the world is lack of sleep, lack of getting the recovery that we need in a genuine way. When you, I want to go back just a little bit. When you had the dream and you saw yourself and all these, coats and people in front of you, was there ever a moment during that dream that you remember feeling nervous? Was there like you felt like you had a discovery that you had that was kind of surreal? That when you thought back on it, it was this is crazy. It was just a dream.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. When I was trying to make it, it took me like, almost 2 weeks to dial SeptaSync in properly. And I just tested it on myself over and over and over. Once I got it kind of working, it was a lot of fine tweaking. Like I was telling you about the last step I discovered on accident that made it really come together. When I first sent it out for beta testing, I was so nervous because I had only tested it on myself and my mom. And, like my mom's going to say I'm awesome no matter what I do. So, how much weight can you really take that kind of opinion with? I sent it out for beta testing. I was nervous. I had to speak on my social medias about this and say, guys, I think I made this. I don't know. Can you help me test it? And if it didn't pan out, I'm going to look a little silly. I'm used to that. So that happens when you fail a lot of businesses. You get used to the idea of like, I might look like a fool, but maybe not. You only look stupid if it doesn't work. Best advice I ever got. And when the beta test reviews started coming back, me and my business partner, I hadn't brought him on the business yet, but we've done a lot of business together. So he's been very involved. We got worried people were fans. I was already popular on the internet. We were like, they're fans. They're being too nice. So I had to go start finding strangers to test it on, my coworkers, people I knew. Like I worked in a kitchen at the time. These guys are hard asses. If it doesn't work, they're gonna make fun of you, not be reassuring. And it started working on the cooks. I had an elderly resident at my job want to give it a try. She did it. She said that was the craziest experience I think I've had in a long time. She goes, "This is the coolest technology I've seen in years." And I kept testing it. I kept testing it, and the reviews kept being so good. I mean, even after 50 reviews, I was still terrified. Like these, it feels too good to be true. It wasn't until I was at Biohackers and I watched it happen to people, put the towel over their eyes, 2 minutes in their mouths, they're just sitting there like that. That's when it started to click. I was like, this is incredible. It's working on everybody. And like me and my partner, we both had these feelings, and halfway through, we just both looked at each other with like super wide eyes, and we were like, dude, and we were like high-fiving over and over. Some people were looking at us a little funny, but they didn't get it.
Yeah, I was shocked when you said that you literally, but the event was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was about a month ago.
Yes, you had literally just launched.
Yeah, no, we were brand new. The LLC got launched like 30 days before, and I think SeptaSync had only been out for like a week and a half, maybe, like a super short time frame. My days are all mixing up. I said we've been out 35 days. I think that was off earlier. Feels like it.
It's and you're right now obtaining patents, correct?
Yeah, we're already pending. We have a non-provisional pending for like utility. So we have 18 months to finalize everything. You get to do market testing, see if there's extra uses for this you wouldn't have thought of at the original patent. And then you resubmit it to the government, and that's when it's going to be like on the internet. Anyone can look at it. But we're covered right now, and this my lawyer's smart. We didn't patent SeptaSync, we patented multiple binaural beats. So Nobody can slightly change this and take it. I mean, they could, they'd get sued. That's a whole other thing, but it's all mine. That's like the coolest part. It's all mine.
Sometimes when I'm watching you, Ethan, it's almost like you're this kid in a candy store that is also walking in a dream. Like,
That's literally how it feels. Yeah,
yeah, when you were saying it's all mine, it's almost surreal. But that's what I get from you, and I love it. I would love for you to come back on this podcast if you'll be kind enough to come back in about 3 months' time. I will have
of
used it for
course.
3 months. I would love for you to come and share more of the scientific, the white papers that you're going to be getting back. I'd love for you to let us know who is really benefiting from this beyond what you thought, and really how it's truly going deeper into people's natural brain ability to get exactly what they should be getting when they're themselves denying themselves of the health that they should have.
Yeah, I'd love to be back on.
That'd be fantastic. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Congratulations. I'm a fan and I'm going to be using it, and I can't wait to get you back on the show and hopefully see you on the circuit as well.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I'm sure I'll run into you at another conference soon as well.
But the last thing to finish with, what is the one thing, and I ask all the guests this, what's the one thing, the message that you would love to leave the world that will impact them, whether they're by you or you're no longer here?
If you want to make big things happen, you have to have faith in something. It could be the universe. Choose your God. Put the faith in yourself. It doesn't matter. You need to have faith. Faith will get you so much further than anything else will. Self-doubt will kill you. You are what you think. Shit in, shit out. Change that.
Love it. Ethan, we will be seeing you on here again, and I'm so excited to do that.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks so much.